G'day, legends. Welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I don't know how to do the intro. It's a Tuesday. I'm bloody confused here. What's going on, everyone? It's been a ridiculous 24 hours since our last pod. So we've got the old original Thursday sesh mob back together. We got Jared, we got Dan, and we got Willie. How you going, Dan?
Oh yeah, just having a quiet day, not a lot going on. Thought I'd just swing by and see what was happening, and you guys are all here ready to go. So I don't know. There's probably not much to talk about, but
I don't know what's going on. I don't even know why we're here. Why are we doing a podcast? What's happened, Jared? Did anything important happen in the last 24 hours, or we just lost?
All I heard was like there's a former Celtic coach manager, Martin Neal. Apparently, got a new job somewhere. But who cares?
Interesting. And Willie, do you know why we're here?
Not a clue. I just got an invite in my email inbox, clicked on the link, and here I am talking
You know what
to
they
you
say?
guys.
Don't click on the links on emails, Willie. You end up on dodgy websites. Here you are.
You gotta live
we know
life
Willie clicks on them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So thanks everyone for tuning in, guys, for jumping on for the this pod. A bit of a doozy, really. It's like yesterday's pod. Me and Shane were talking about, Rodgers got a couple of games to, sort his time at Celtic out because things aren't good enough in terms of what's happening on the pitch. And we were talking about we separate it, so there's still the board issues, but there's the team on the pitch, and it's been going on since Bayern, but it's just been that managed decline. We've been getting worse and worse, and wasn't expecting to wake up this morning and have over 400 messages in my WhatsApp in about 5 different chats and saying Rodgers is out, blah blah this. So yeah, interesting way to start the day. So for us, it's like you guys over in Scotland and that have had, overnight to stew on this. And to us, it's like wake up, work, all right, eat some dinner, let's do a podcast. So, yeah, going to be a bit of an interesting one. So, yeah, we'll just go around and have a quick chat about, our thoughts generally on the Rodgers situation. So there was talk early on that he'd been offered a new 1-year contract and was going to sign it, but then at the same time there was talk that he'd left, that he'd handed his resignation. So there was those two rumors bouncing around. Then at the same time, then all of a sudden we get that message, and then what is it, like 15 minutes later we get old mate Dermot dropping his things. So I think the easiest thing is we'll just go through it and just get your thoughts. So Jared, you first. What was your thoughts when you saw the news of Brendan leaving?
I had to double check different things because I wasn't sure if we were being trolled. But I actually respected him for making the decision. Because like I'm not going to go back on what I said last Thursday. I didn't think he was going to stay on past this year. We were on the way down, and even worse because of that defeat against Hearts, and we still didn't look very good. And instead of just hanging around like Russell Martin, he was like, nah. He's like, he would have known himself. He had lost the motivation. He's lost the team, and he didn't want to be there. He hated his managers. And so he stepped aside early so we can actually start doing something between now and January. So you got to give him respect for that. He knew he wasn't the person for this job right now, and stepped aside.
Yeah, if the fire's gone out, then it makes sense that you'd look to make a change, and that's something that we were talking about yesterday, me and Shane, where it was like you don't want it to be like the Lennon in the COVID season, where you're looking at it going, he should have been sacked in around this time, and he hung in for another 3 or 4 months. So yeah, it was a bit of probably the right decision. But Willie, what was your thoughts?
I was shocked. I mean, I'd kind of geared up. I wasn't on the sack Brendan Bass or get Brendan out. I thought he deserved a bit of time to try and turn things around. But okay, really poor start to the season. I mean, we are talking COVID, sort of Tony Mowbray levels of results coming in so far, but I wasn't expecting sacked. I kind of said to myself, he's got 2 games to me. He's got the Falkirk game and he's got the semi-final. He has to win both of them. And if he doesn't win both of them, then it's time for him to go. I didn't expect him to resign this quickly. And then the statements come out from the board. I mean, it just leaves so many more questions than it does answers. You know what I mean? that was a well prepared statement and has been written in advance for something that came out so quickly after the resignation comes out. I mean, this is something that's been happening in the background for a while, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And Dan, what's your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, look, a lot like Willie, I wasn't on any sort of sack Brendan bandwagon. I wasn't a huge defender either. I think I'd sort of resigned myself to the fact that the board would let him carry on to the end of the season and that he would stubbornly sort of stay. So I do kind of respect that he's made the move and sort of pulled the band-aid off. But Rodgers walking to me is not the real story. The real story is why he walked. And I'm not defending the football of this season because we've had some absolute garbage, and absolutely there is plenty of blame to go around when it comes to the transfer market, the squad, the managed decline of the squad by the board, and tactically some real question marks over Brendan. But he was a manager who delivered a lot of trophies, Champions League football. You mentioned the Bayern game. We went with a whisker or two of some real progression in the knockout stages in Europe last season. A strong level of professionalism, which is what we've been crying out for. We had, the first Rodgers era, then the Lennon COVID issues. I nearly was going to swear, but we are after the 5 minutes.
Good. That's why I kept you till last.
I appreciate it. We had the shit show. But he's towards the back end of this saga and now the sacking, he's been hung out to dry by a board that's more interested in balance sheets than silverware. We've got a nostalgia act in Martin O'Neill as for what I believe is sort of the softening cushion for the experiment that is Sean Maloney, who has not succeeded in his two management roles to date. And let's be honest, if he had no ties to the club, would have no shot at the job whatsoever. There is no plan here from the board. You say, I think I mentioned they're working to a plan. It's been coming. This is an ad hoc. I just want to get rid of this guy. I want to let everyone know we run the show. We're the bosses. Whether it's Dermot, whether it's Law, whether it's Michael Nicholson, I don't give a fuck. As a club and as fans, we deserve so much better. And whatever blame belongs in the dugout, that's been settled. Brendan's gone. Whatever happens from here, we'll see what happens, whether results improve or continue or even decline. We'll wait and see. But ultimately, the boardroom needs to be held accountable. And if nothing else, I hope that this is the catalyst that really pushes the Celtic collective and the fan movements against the board.
And that's it. Like for me, Dan, this is an interim, temporary thing. It had to happen because the performances haven't been good enough. But at the same time, it can't be the final solution. It can't be that they brought in Martin O'Neill along with Sean Maloney because they know if we put Sean Maloney straight in with his previous record, everyone would be like, we'd be up in arms going, oh, you got a patsy and all this. So let's put Martin O'Neill in there with him to like cover it. And then we're in this situation where if we do well, we turn around, we win the league. Suddenly Maloney's the hero and he gets to keep the job, like Lennon in the showers before the COVID season. If it fails, oh, well, that's what happens when you got an interim guy, you got a pathways manager stepping in to help, and you brought Martin O'Neill back, who hasn't managed a team since Nottingham Forest in 2019. So I look at it that way, and he was just here to help the club out. So they've already got their exit strategy either way sorted. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me, like how it all plays out. We needed to make a change, yes. Brendan fallen on his sword, right thing to do. But at the same time, the thing for me that's even more strange is the other guys who followed him out the door. So remember last time around when Rodgers left, the only guys who stayed were Stevie Woods and John Kennedy. Well, apparently this time around, John Kennedy's out the door as well, along with first team coaches Adam Sadler, Jack Lyons, and the fitness guru Glenn Driscoll is also gone. So those four are gone. We're left with Gavin Strachan and his laptop and Stevie Woods. course, Strachan's not going to go anywhere because of the ties they have with his old man. And then you look who's come in. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, really. And then there's also talk going on about Leicester City's CEO. What's her name again? Susan Whelan. She's left Leicester. There's talk apparently that Nicholson's stepping down as well at the AGM, and Susan Whelan's coming in to take over. So that's another thing. It's all bouncing around at the same time. So yeah, there's all sorts going on there. There's all sorts of rumors and all crazy stuff there. So you boys got anything you want to jump in about with the? We're going to get to the Desmond statement in a bit more detail in a minute, but about the other guys moving on, anything like that. I'm seeing Remy's carrying on in the background there, Jared. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. I'm not overly upset about Martin O'Neill coming in as an interim manager. Like, I think I'm not bothered he hasn't managed in 6 years, because he's still been around. He's watching the game. He thinks Hearts is going to win because he's being realistic. And I think like he's a good motivational manager, and I think that's kind of what we need at the moment. Like, the players, everyone goes on, oh, we need more quality, we need more quality. We don't need more quality to beat bloody Dundee. Like, the quality we've got should be beating Dundee, but they're not playing up to their level. And I think a manager like Martin can maybe at least reignite some of the fire in the players and motivate them. As long as it is just an interim and we're actually going to get someone in. But I'm probably like everyone else here. I don't have any trust or faith in the board actually doing anything with the next step.
Well, Willie, off the back of what Jared said, like with Desmond's statement, I'll let you go in two-footed on that first, right? With what he's come out with, because there's some clear, obvious bullshit in there and things that can easily be proven by some things he said that then you can find from the collectives meeting that were conflicted, so it's not tying up, right? But there's other things that he said there. So if Dermot Desmond has come out and just gone whack the way he has at Rodgers just after he's leaving, what manager's going to want to come in and work under someone like that? It's no better that doing that sort of hit piece on someone just after getting rid of him. What is he, the second most successful manager in our club's history? Bringing in and doing a hit piece on him in the same way, it's no better than that guy Marinakis or whatever down at Nottingham Forest, sacking managers every 6 weeks to me. But yeah, what's your thoughts, Willie?
Yeah, it definitely reeks of the Marinakis style. He's just gone 2-footed, and Rodgers has handed his notice in, and he's just come out and gone 2-footed. Which I don't know, is it with Rodgers handing his notice in? Does that mean he doesn't have to? Does he forfeit the non-disclosure clause in his contract? Does that mean he can come out and say what he wants to say in a couple of weeks' time? He can come out and shoot his shot at it all. Like, and perhaps Desmond just says, "Well, I better get in there first." But this whole thing is like Desmond's whole statement is just gaslighting from start to finish. It's just, this is what I want you to believe, and this is what you will believe. And you are Celtic supporters, and I run this club, and you will believe what I want you to believe, or else. I mean, it's fucking we live in Trumpian times, and this is just a fucking Trumpian playbook straight off the bat. You know what I mean? I said to the guys off air there that we're just short of Desmond turning up at a media conference tomorrow with big A1 size and an easel with all the fucking text messages. We're going to sell Ida to Swansea for 6 million, and Brendan's put the thumbs up. See, you okayed that. This is all. I mean, it's just disgusting. Like, you know what I mean? That is no way for a club owner to come out and that, and a billionaire at that. You know what I mean? This he'd have to run this past legal teams as well. You know, I mean, it's carefully worded. As much as it is a 2-footed statement, it is quite carefully worded too, that he's not going to legally tie himself in any sorts of knots. But something tells me that Brendan Rodgers is going to have to retort to this, like, because it is a heavy 2-footed challenge. I mean, Willie Collum and VAR would be looking to send him off for that, like.
On
Just
that,
on
Willie, no, I'll just jump in quick, Dan, if that's okay. You mentioned the NDA stuff. So if Rodgers has resigned and he hasn't taken the payout for the rest of the season and go on gardening leave, then he's not getting paid the NDA. There can't be an NDA. because he's no longer an employee. So that is that issue there. I'll just throw to you, Dan, for what you were going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, look, I have no doubt. Obviously, the legal team's gone through it, and there are enough vagaries and crafted words that it's not outright. You're not going to, I would imagine, get a claim for libel or slander or anything. But also at a certain point, even if it is, what matters is, and you see it all the time. It's the problem with defamation law. One of my best friends is a defamation lawyer, and I often say, you're little scum of the earth. Like, it's the worst of the worst. But the idea is, he's put it out there. We've all dealt it. If 12 months down the line, Rodgers wins a court case and gets a little bit of money back, no one's really going to care. But we all move on with this impression now, and there are future potential employers out there saying, maybe we steer clear of Brendan. And that may even help him with a case of defamation down the line. But ultimately, when you're a billionaire, you can set some money aside and say, that's fuck you money. Let's be honest. Whatever Brendan would get out of a defamation case, Desmond would have paid that for the pleasure of going in two-footed, as you said. Ultimately, it's peanuts.
On that as well, though, Dan, like, Jared's just dropped out anyway. No, he's back. But
I thought we got a resignation from Jared there. He's just walked.
But with the whole thing there, like, Desmond's statement come out on the Celtic website. So, two things, and this is what gets me. Willie said the club owner, he's not. He's just the largest shareholder at the club. He's not even a majority shareholder. He owns 34% of the club. So, Steve Smith in our group chat has said that he's a shareholder of the club. Why can't he put out a statement on the club's website? He's got just as much right to do so. So it's a bit of a strange one to me, because now it's on Celtic's official club website. Guess who else is liable to be sued if Rodgers wanted to? But the talk is that Stephen McGowan's already got that interview lined up. It's going to be out in a day or two. That's what I've heard anyway. But Jared, throw to you.
Oh, geez.
Or if we covered it all for you.
I'm just like, I don't know if I've got anything really more to add to that. Like pretty much for me, all I think is we've been blaming 4 people on the board. Then it went to Rodgers, and then we're blaming the team, and we're angry at all these people. And I think Dermot has just focused everyone's anger now on one person, and it's Dermot. Like, I think he's just made himself public enemy number 1. And also, when you look at the report and you look at what he wrote, and I'm just like, okay, well, who was the person that leaked that newspaper article? Because this sounds a lot like the crap they were given. And also, it doesn't match what was going on either. Like, so I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think it is, but yeah, I don't really have much to add. I'm just looking forward to Brendan Rodgers' response.
Same. It's going to be that. We all know he can talk, so it's going to be interesting how he does it. But yeah, let's go through some comments. Then I'll bring up a few memes and stuff, and we'll just rattle off this, and then we'll finish off with the odds for the next permanent manager, and go from there. So Bonnie said, "G'day, fellas. This is going to be as ugly as a hat full of arseholes. I hope you're talking about what's happened at the club, not this podcast looking at our heads. But if it's the second one, it's your fault, Dan." Sort your beard out, would you?
I thought I looked ruggedly handsome, to be honest, so that's a bit disappointing.
Heavy Vibes are saying, fair play to Rodgers, he didn't linger around like Lickspit or Lennon. Then 66 Kev1 saying, personally, it's the best thing. Brendan Rodgers was not an elite manager. Glad he's gone. Bonnie's saying, mongrel's the lot of the board. Pork Chop is excited for the change, but if it's Maloney full-time, then nah. And Willie, this one's for you. Heavy Vibes. O'Neill is in his 70s. What were you saying before we went live?
I was looking it up. Martin O'Neill is 2 years older than Hugh Keevins. That is embarrassing. I mean, Hugh Keevins should have hung up his mic a long time ago. He's so out of touch with the modern game. And then Martin O'Neill comes in. The guy who doesn't believe in XG or any of this stats and statistics. Like, you know, I mean, the guy who said when he was our manager last time round that he wasn't into he wasn't into the tactics and the training. He was more of a motivational speaking sort of guy. And here we are. The game has advanced so much since he was in charge of us last time. I don't know. It's a hard one to fathom out. Like 73 years old.
Who was our manager after Martin left last time? Was it Gordon?
Strachan.
Gordon Strachan? And who still
Yeah.
stayed at the club?
Calvin Strachan.
Is he trying to do it again? He leaves and puts a Strachan in charge?
Well, how long is this?
Rather Hugh Keevins.
How long has this been? How long has this been happening in the background? This moves and that, like, you know, what I mean, you had Neil Lennon out a couple of weeks ago talking about how great the board were and how great Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond have been. I think something's been the board have been moving in the background on this for a few weeks now, like, and
Yeah.
it's quite quick for Martin O'Neill to turn around and take the job with Sean Maloney. I mean, that's sort of a partnership like that. You need to talk about these sort of things and try and get strategize how you're going to make it work. You don't just do it at the drop of a hat.
The rumours, Willie, when I first looked at the chats and stuff this morning, was O'Neill coming in with Keane, is what I saw. So I'm like, Roy Keane or Robbie? Because we've been linked with Robbie Keane. Apparently it was Roy Keane, and then he pulled the pin on it a little, like, and then next thing you know, it's Maloney. So if it was O'Neill and Roy Keane, it makes sense because of their time together in Ireland and at Villa and all this sort of stuff. But still, you're talking about someone that doesn't believe in stats, and then if you had those two together, far out. It'd be on, you know, get these boxing kangaroo gloves on like we got on the flag back here on the training pitch and just let them sort it out.
I think you talk about Martin O'Neill being a motivator and a man manager. It's a hell of a lot easier to motivate. The quick comparison I did was the strikers he was motivating in his last season at Celtic were Chris Sutton, John Hartson, and Henry Kramara. It's a lot easier to motivate them than it is Shin Yamada and Johnny Kenny. Let's be honest. And, you know, I'm not even here to shit on Yamada or Kenny, but I kind of did, I guess.
Heavy vibes are saying world-class shot show from the board. 66 Kev1 saying O'Neill is a mature red wine. I would like to see St Mirren manager come in full-time. So Stephen Robertson, I think he's decent. Probably the best of the lot in Scotland for us. But, yeah. Gavy boy, it's weird you're talking live like it just happened when we already had podcast meltdown last night. Yeah, mate, we already discussed that. We're on the other side of the world. It happened this morning for us. So it's still the same day, so deal with it. There we go. Craigie White saying that statement from Desmond, just pours petrol on the bonfire, just more questions than answers. So, yeah, it's a bit of a Craigie White again. It's worse than my last divorce, and that was bad. And Dermot McCulloch saying, I wouldn't trust what Dermot Desmond says. I think John Kennedy leaving says everything about this board. He stayed last time but walked alongside BR. Yeah, so it's a bit of an interesting situation here. So what we'll do is, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a doozy. So I'll bring up the stats for the next manager, right? So this is what we're coming up. If this will come up on the bloody screen, would be handy. There we go. So apparently Ange's the favourite, with Robbie Keane second, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer third, Kettle Knutson fourth, Craig Bellamy fifth, Damien Duff sixth, Eric Ten Hag 7, Maloney 8, Marco Rose 9, Michael Carrick 10. Any of those names jumping off the page for you on who you'd like? Go to you first, Willie.
Oh, Newton's one for me, right? Definitely the only one on that list that I would take. The rest of them, can you bring that up again? Like,
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, Ange Postecoglou's not going to come back. I don't think Robbie Keane is the answer. Ollie Solskjaer, maybe. Right? But Damien Duff, he was sacked from his last job. He didn't do a very good job. Eric Ten Hag is just poison, right? So Marco Rose would be a good one, but I can't see him coming to Scotland, especially when he looks at what the shit show this board is, right? So, for me on that list, Kettle Knutson.
I've said numerous times that Knutson is the dream candidate. Ange won't be back. Rose for me, Marco Rosa. He would be my preferred one out of anyone on that list, right? Because I don't think Knudsen were going to get him. But Eric Ten Hag is one for me that just makes me think a bit. If we can get the Ajax style Ten Hag, where he's at a club that's the biggest club in his league and be blooding players and bringing them through that pathway and getting that set up properly, get a bit of that Ajax type of, you know, our peer group that we talk about on the pod all the time, that could work. But his last two roles haven't ended very well, so I don't know about that. What do you think, Jared? Any of them for you?
Uh,
I'll bring it. Listen.
Last Thursday, I gave my top three. And my number one for the last several years has always been Knudsen. But it's now been beaten out of me that he's actually going to want to come here after Dermot Desmond's rant. I mean, it's been hard to get him out of Bodo Glimt already. Apparently, he's available in January, which timeline will match up with his. Get Martin in for a little bit and then get him in. But I just don't see him wanting to come here at all now. So he was number one on my list. He's now gone. And the other names I've got, the other two that were on my list, aren't on that list. I had Terzig from
Was it Dortmund?
German Borussia Dortmund, who is available right now, and Stephen Robson, the St Mirren manager. I had him, and I've replaced Knudsen with John McGlynn.
Yep. So there's a couple of comments here. John Cairns is saying, I'm hearing Ange is super keen at the moment. I'm hearing similar, but he's never gone back in his management career before. Bonnie's saying, where's Muscat's name? He'll be one you'd be able to get if you're going to appoint him at the end of November. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Anyone else you want to jump on there? Dan? Oh, get Hal. Henrik McLaughlin, here you go. Antonio Conte.
I did like the video of him remonstrating with Laturo Martinez. If you haven't seen that, I recommend looking it up. Although not safe for work, 18 plus. Going through my list, Marco Rosa was probably the guy that I really liked. I'm with you. I don't think Ange comes back. Ange is not a backwards looking guy. He moves on to his next job, I think. Knudsen, I think if he was going to leave Bodo, he would have done it by now. I think he's very happy. I think he's quite content. The contract situation is interesting, but it doesn't take much to sort that out when you've got a functioning board and manager relationship. Someone's just made the joke that I was about to make, in that I know Steven Gerrard is is still looking for a job.
I am free, actually.
It might be a banter year's appointment. I like, from the banter perspective, I like the idea of Kevin Muscat. I'm not sure that he's the right fit. It'd be interesting. The only other one I saw was Gary O'Neill, but I'm not a big fan of his football. He's fairly pragmatic and quite boring. And if it's Roy and or Robbie Keane, get to absolute fuck. Robbie Keane in particular can just fuck right off. But if we're getting to that point.
So there's the other one, the Ipswich town manager. Was it Kieran McKenna? If we could somehow get him, I think he would be an absolute great pickup as well. So
I said him the other week.
There you go. I'm stealing you. Stealing what you said
there. The other one I mentioned was Carlos Corberan, the Valencia manager.
Yep. So we got a whole bunch of people here saying take a Muscat is a serious shout. And then we just go through here. We could sort out Jared's tax issues with all that spare cash we have.
You get tax issues, Jared?
Shh, we don't talk about it on live streams.
Kieran McKenna, there we go. So, yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll just look at it here. We'll bring up a few of these to finish it off. So, pretty simple. That's my masterpiece for today's show notes. Couldn't help myself. I just had that random thought. But, we got that one. Come on, Brendan, name a single time you can't. Was tied to a chair. Dermot in the golf club. I don't know who sent this in our group chat. I think it may have been you, Dan, or potentially, or Willie, one of you two.
Might have been a Willie one, that one.
I think it was Anthony Maguire, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. Then we've got Back to the Future, O'Neill Maloney. I saw this and couldn't help it. Had to have a laugh. Then here you go, the custody of Celtic ladder match coming up on the weekend. Ayr versus Dunfermline. The scary part is that actually could be true. So, yeah. And then Andy on this one on Twitter was whoever wins Friday gets the full-time job as well.
Hey, maybe not quite those two, but we spoke off air. Mark Wilson, the Mary Hill Mourinho, is absolutely tearing it up at Partick Thistle.
I had a chuckle at this one here, the Thistle one here. We're the best run club in Glasgow.
No, that was me.
Yeah. There was this one, so the Brendometer, Brendan BR Rodgers the rat, and then the board had put an extra one on there this morning, so fuck off Brendan. But this was the thing that made me laugh the most out of all the ones I saw today. Brendan Rodgers drafted a reply to Dermot's statement. The statement has been passed on to Rodgers' lawyers. It will then be passed on to his agent, and then passed to his PR team, then back to the lawyers, then back to the PR team, who pass it across to the agent, and then back to the lawyers.
The perfect horseshoe.
It's exactly how it works. So, yeah, I just think there's a bit of a interesting situation we're in. It's getting a bit late for Willie over there in New Zealand, so we'll call it a day here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Just wanted to have a bit of a chat about this and see what your thoughts were as well in the comments. But yeah, just keep if you haven't done so, we've got quite a lot more watching live than usual. So please hit the like button on the video. If you haven't done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back on Thursday for our normal pod, unless something crazy happens overnight again tonight. So thanks, everyone. Hail, hail. And yeah, see you on the next pod.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.